Detailer's Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast, brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap, of which I am the Director of Revenue Development and Strategic Partners. So integral part of that team for sure. Hey, I'm here with Brett Berry, and he's the owner of Shiny Jets, where his extensive 15-year plus experience in aircraft detailing fuels his passion for mentoring and fostering new aircraft detailing entrepreneurs. So pretty excited to have you on board because you are kind of what I describe as my people. You know, a lot of people on this podcast are friends of mine. We've been friends on Facebook for a while, but like an entrepreneur that happens to do detailing and happens to do aviation detailing, right? It's not like, hey, this is Brett the detailer. It's you know, I tend to make that distinction on this podcast. So hey, I appreciate you coming on board. Thanks for taking the time.
No, thanks so much. Thanks for the kind words. It's it's a little bit different than doing cars. I used to do cars, and I keep telling these car detailers, I was like, our paint is so much easier, and I don't have to get as many clients as you do.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, one of the questions I always ask on this podcast is, give me your detailing superhero backstory, and if you want, give me kind of the detailing and the entrepreneurial journey, because
yeah, definitely.
You know, they aren't always the same thing, but they are intertwined, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, absolutely. So I started out in 2006, around 6, detailing cars. I broke my back riding dirt bikes, and I was doing construction and detailing on the side, but I had accumulated some money where I could, after I broke my back, I was like, oh, I'm not going to go back to work. I'm going to just keep detailing. Healed up and just started detailing. And then 2007 was coming around, and I used to operate heavy equipment. And when the economy is going to start taking a dive, the developers stop cutting the tops of mountains off with heavy equipment.
Right.
You know, because it's maybe a year till a house is put up there or something like that. So they're like, we're just going to finish building houses on the pads we already have cut where the roads are, and we're going to stop moving dirt. And so I was talking to my buddies. They're like, oh yeah, it's slowing down. We're having to go out of town, this and that. I was like, oh no. So I was like, who's still going to have money when the economy takes a dive? I was like, guys with jets.
Right.
You know? So I just started detailing a few jets here and there, and people noticed my work. And then I had a customer become a billionaire in 3 years, and he bought 27 or 28 World War II like aircraft, and had me restore all of them. So I was working on restoring these warbirds and learning a lot about them, and then also detailing corporate stuff because he bought a jet center that was a maintenance shop for corporate aircraft. So I was doing those as well. And then I sold the business, went through divorce, lost everything, and just was operating heavy equipment again because I had a non-compete. And eventually the people bought my business, got a divorce, moved out of the country, and I had all my old customers call me. I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with you guys. I hate you guys. I don't want back. And so a real good friend of mine was like, hey, let's go to Fiji spearfishing for 10 days. And I was like, dude, I don't have the money for that. He's like, I'll pay for you. Don't worry about it. He's like, we're going to figure out.
Yeah, because Fiji isn't like, let's go to Destin, Florida or Baja, right? Like, let's go to Fiji, one of the most expensive destinations to go to.
Yeah. For 10 days and spearfish for 8 out of 10 days. I was like,
wow.
He's like, we'll figure out what you're going to do there. So we went, and, he's got 1 million plus followers on Instagram. And he's like, well, you're the best at aircraft detailing. I was like, I am. He's like, why don't you just do what I do? Teach little tips and tricks and then see where it goes from there. So I came back and I called one of my old customers and I said, hey, can I just detail your planes and you pay my bills for and we just went in his jet like right before Fiji the week before my construction job. I was like, hey, I need this Thursday, Friday off. I'm going to Cabo in my old customer's airplane for a bachelor party. To like, what the heck? And then I was like, oh, by the way, I need 14 days off. I'm going to Fiji the week after spearfishing. They're like, what the heck? because they all talk crap about me because they're like, oh yeah, he used to like detail jets and like they all talk crap behind my back. I knew they
Yeah,
did.
I mean, heavy equipment operators in construction, especially, you kind of have those different levels, right? Like I've done construction and all that. Heavy equipment operators are not exactly like, hey, I really want to grow in my life and my entrepreneurial journey, right? Like I'm just here to cut dirt for 8 hours and go home.
Yeah. So like some of the foremen were like intimidated by me and stuff like that because I mean I ran a crew of guys for my own company. So I told them I was like, yeah, I'm going to Cabo in a jet, and then it's just right over here at this airport, so I can come in the morning. We leave at noon. They're like, what the heck? And then so I came back and I was like, hey guys, I'm done. I'm not coming
Yeah.
back. And I called my customers like, hey, can I just clean all your jets and just pay my bills? If I need extra money, I'll Uber. And so I did detailing out of a Kia, all my old customers' jets. He had a couple Gulfstreams and no, he had like two and then like a bunch of helicopters and stuff. So I just went and worked 40 hours a week there and started filming videos. Much like my friend told me to, just posting videos every single day, every single day. And just seeing where it went. Then I had people like, oh, do you teach? I was like, oh, well, I should do a training. And I was like, there's such bad aircraft detailing out there that I should start educating pilots and mechanics with my videos on little tips and tricks to preserve the aircraft better. And then I was like, well, I'm going to come up with a whole course. And so I started doing trainings, and now I don't have a Kia. And, um, but yeah, I'd have all my detail equipment in the trunk of the Kia, and then from there I would go do like what is it, Uber? Yeah, yeah. So and then on the weekends I would do Uber just to stay afloat.
Yeah, it's funny because I think our backgrounds are pretty, at least aligned. Where I always say we're on the same highway, maybe in different lanes. But I ran a full-time detail shop, and part of our detail business was aircraft detailing. We happened to kind of get involved in that. And this has been like 12 or 15 years ago. I probably had no idea what I was doing. I needed your training at that point, but I ended up. So when I first started doing it, I got a contract for a flight school, and the mechanic actually came out and walked me through, because I'd been car detailing. I knew how to polish paint. I knew how to care for delicate surfaces and all that. But I had him walk me through and say, don't touch this thing. Don't touch this thing. Don't get polish in this hole. All of that stuff. Are you insured? Yes, I am. I got the proper writers and all that to my insurance.
Yeah.
But when I quote unquote retired, I basically gave my detailing business over to a friend of mine. I just said, here, take it. And now he runs a very successful aircraft aviation detailing segment of his business here. We're outside of Bozeman, Montana, which is the airport for Big Sky, right? So like they had a Google event, and I think there was like 35 private jets that landed in one day, because they're all going to Big Sky. This is like this is where friends like you have all go hang out, right? So but that's so I wanted I have done.
I'll add one more thing too.
Sure.
Is the entrepreneurial, like cleaning planes and detailing is like one thing, but where to go with like starting a training in the like I see there's like you've got Ceramic Pro, System X and stuff. They know how to help a guy set up a shop.
Yeah.
An auto salon. There's no information. You can't really find much information on detailing aircraft on the internet. There's none, and more or less to build a training and find the market, find the people who buy it, like all this stuff. I'm coming out with a product line, and that's easy. Tons of people come out with a product line, but it was just building this whole training, detailing, YouTube, Instagram, like all this stuff. Like I just felt like I was all alone.
Yeah.
And
well, it's kind of a double-edged sword, I would guess, because they do say riches are in the niches, right? Like that's that old phrase. So you got to be on the forefront of creating it, but then you also had to be on the forefront of creating it, right? Like you're kind of making it all up as you went along.
No, that was the thing. And it was like, during COVID, I stayed up till like 2, 3 in the morning just writing this online course and filming it. Um, I didn't have anyone to like tell me. I couldn't figure out how to structure it. I've
Mm-hmm.
taken some like Google online courses, and I just didn't know how to structure it and stuff like that. So it was just like get it out there and get some feedback.
Yeah.
So, and then coming up with the hybrid courses where they take the online portion, then come to hands-on training. I came up with that. And yeah, just, I don't know. I can't really talk to many people about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've done actually the same kind of course creation side. And if those that are listening, if you've never done it, it's not just like throw a couple of videos up, right? Like there's a back end for your course. There's the back end for the funnel system. There's the back end for the videos. There's like, and it takes forever to do it. I mean, once you've built the framework and all that, but like I think I had like 6 or 7 different websites / apps in order to run everything that I'm doing. And I have some now too. And it's just I don't think people understand. It's not like, hey, let's throw a 6-foot table up, order some pizza, get some polishers, and throw a class, right? It's a whole different animal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. That's like for right now, I'm just like dreading it. My new course is like 36 chapters, 160 plus lessons, and it's going to be like a camera watching me do the service, me talking about the service, a camera watching me do the service, then a GoPro in my
Yep.
in my mouth watching and filming me do the service like you're actually doing it. And
So you did it in the mouth instead of like wearing a chest
yeah,
strap
the arms get in
situation?
the way. The arms
Okay.
get in the way. Yeah. So when like the buffer's moving, like your
Yeah.
arms in the way. So
Yeah.
just put it in the mouth like you're actually physically doing it. I'm trying to like do it so that those guys who need hands on, this may close the gap for them, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like you don't get to see like, hey, look at this panel at a 45-degree angle, and you don't get to see some of the tactile side of it, but like that's got to be a relatively small part to the learning aspect of it, especially with aviation detailing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, luckily, like, I mean, my students that do the hybrid courses, they take my online course and they come to class. I'm like, you guys got any questions? They're like, after I brief them on what we're going to do, they're like, nope. I'm like,
Nice.
So it's working. Things are working. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you a pilot? Do you have your license? Pilots, like, do you fly?
I've started on my pilot's license. Where's my logbook? It's up here somewhere. I've started. I'll finish next year.
Nice. I just started doing online gold seal, which is one of the again online training, right? I started doing that. I haven't done anything in the plane yet, but that's kind of one of I turned 50 last year. I'll be 51 in a month. And that's kind of been on my bucket list to go get my pilot. My wife is not particularly excited about it because she knows that she's going to have to fly with me, because one of my goals is I'd love to kind of hop around in planes through the Caribbean, right? Because it's it's a little bit, it's like, it's not that hard. The airport fees are pretty low. The fuel costs aren't that bad. And so that's kind of one of so I was curious if you actually actually did the pilot thing too.
Yeah, so I picked up one of my customers, and we had like a 2-hour drive yesterday. And he flies corporate aircraft, and like he built a course on how to become a fly private jets. He's building an ebook, and he's like, why don't you build an ebook for people who are trying to a side hustle? They could detail planes and build hours and meet all the customers that they would potentially want to fly for. So that's my thing, is I can literally, I have tons of customers that would hire me to fly on the side. So just, my detail guys are detailing, and then I'm out flying for 1,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 a day, after I build up hours, can fly bigger aircraft. So yeah, definitely going to do that for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, I like guys that are kind of all over the map a little bit. Like everything's related, but it's like, hey, can I do this thing? Can I do this thing? Can I do this thing? So
Oh yeah,
that's yeah,
I have other aviation businesses that are
yeah,
separate from aircraft detailing. It's like
nice.
I have a
Well,
bunch of different revenue streams.
let's talk about them. What kind of revenue stream? I mean, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So obviously I got the trainings. I've got product line launching. I mean, I could launch a couple products, but I want to put them all out at once.
Yeah.
We're just tweaking them a lot.
Having done multiple product lines, I can also say that it's way harder than it looks.
I know. We were supposed to launch in August.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
now December, or no, November 30th.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's way harder than I think it looks like on the internet. But I think with product companies and product lines, and like I developed, my own product, have a patent and all that kind of stuff. Like that process is way harder than anybody. Like they think, hey, let's just go, throw some labels on some bottles and push it out, which you can, but it's way more extensive than that for sure.
Yeah, especially with like I want it to match the work we do,
Yeah.
the quality of the product, right? So that in itself is a hassle. Like I was grabbing metal polish the other day, and I was like, "Wait, is this variation 1, 2, or 3?" Like I'm like, I forgot to label it. Damn it! And then you're like, "Okay, the characteristics of this, is variation 2." Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
There
like,
you go.
oh.
Nice.
But yeah. So the product line, the trainings, and then I started an air ambulance business. So what we do is we deal with U.S. citizens that have American insurance that get hurt abroad.
Wow. So you can go in and fly
So
them
we
out, basically, right?
Yep. Yeah. So we
And
verify their insurance. We pay for the flight, and then we bill the insurance company afterwards. That's a whole nother animal.
oh
I
man, yeah, that's got to be the worst part of any of your businesses, I would guess.
we we build out a we build a insurance company, and they left 2 decimal points off a
Oh
check.
no.
Like,
Oh, and good luck. Yeah, now it's like, hey, we
another
paid
4 to
that.
5 days.
Yeah, hey, we paid that. No, yeah.
And
So,
it's
like,
like,
do you have paramedics and stuff like that on? Like, are there medical personnel, or it's literally like someone that is able to take that flight without any
we
risk?
check with the companies to see if they could take the flight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we make calls. We're like, hey, can you handle this flight? Yep. Okay. Send the jet down. Verify the patient is stable, doesn't have COVID, and boom, stable enough to get on the flight. Ambulance picks them up, brings them to the airport, flies them to Dallas or Miami.
Wow. That yeah. It's again. It sounds so easy, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like you send the jet and then they die. You're like, oh, dude, it's so sad. But we help the families and stuff, like comfort them, let them know, we're in contact with the families and letting them know that everything's going to be all right. Da da da. So yeah,
yeah,
I
and
have a partner
I
with
would
that.
I would guess the healthcare.gov plans don't cover that kind of service. This is like a whole other level of health insurance, and
Yeah,
for
yeah,
for a different level of income, I would
yeah.
expect, right?
No, exactly. So what happened is my partner, he'd been doing the business for 4 or 5 years, and he had 3 jets and 2 helicopters stationed in Central America, and COVID hit, and no one was traveling, and he
Mm.
was so he's picking the scraps back up and brought me on board to help push it. So
Nice. Yeah, that's a lot of payments to make whenever you don't have when you don't have any income coming in.
yeah, it's tough, and then dealing with the insurance company. So we're rocking and rolling. I'm excited about that. But yeah, the aircraft detailing. So I'm just really trying to push the envelope with what products can do, what other things we can do. I have some stuff also. Um, we did we're transitioning a little bit to do some military stuff. And nothing's hit yet. So I've got stuff in my pocket that I need to market and sell for military and stuff like that. We are working on writing the manual for an aircraft company that it's an all electric aircraft.
Oh, wow.
And they've got 600 orders. They've been approved by the FAA, and they're building 55 charging stations around the United States right now. So I am writing the manual for how to clean it and detail it and restore and protect the different surfaces on the electric airplane. So,
wow, that's super cool. Yeah. So I've had conversations on this podcast, and I just have these conversations in life. Is this as a result of you just building this network? I mean, obviously you have the skill set, but you've built a network to help make these things happen,
yep.
right?
Yeah, just it's crazy from like both ends. Like I've got, customers that have connections. I've got followers that have connections and stuff like that. And it's exciting because and I always forget this, but literally I have to say it every day and think it every day, is something weird's going to come into my email, and it's like, it happens. Like, I mean, I just sent a quote out to go to Saudi Arabia to train. And it's crazy. It's insane. So yeah, something crazy is going to come in this week into my email. It's just,
and how do you? I love that kind of that affirmation, excitement. How are you fostering? Because I've interviewed and had conversations with people that run in the same circles that your people run in. But they're always just like normal people for the most part. I mean, obviously some people are dicks whether they're poor, and some people are dicks if they're rich. But how do you go about fostering those relationships and building those relationships? Because this is something I think as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, the relationship side, I think, is something that people miss. Especially in the detailing industry. Like, it's all relationships, right? Like, you're here to make shiny cars, but the relationships is what drives that business.
Yeah. So how do I make them?
I'm curious kind of what the way that you view these relationships with these people and kind of how you foster them and how you create opportunities. Cause there's you're not just sitting waiting for your email to come in, right? Like you're actually fostering these and trying to create opportunities for yourself as a result of these.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I noticed that I was reading on Detailing for Money this morning about people talking about follow-up phone calls. I don't do any of that. I don't call customers. I wait till they come to me. It's always given me an upper leg where I'm not like, oh, please, 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 let me do your stuff. It's just, and we've always stayed busy. My phone rings and I don't go after work. I don't call to get people to go to my trainings, stuff like that. So maybe I could make more money. But as far as my customers, building relationships with them, they just kind of turn into friendships, and we just talk crap about each other. Mostly, literally 90% of them, they'll call me and mess with me, or they'll hop on my lives. My customers will hop on my lives and like start making me laugh.
You suck. You're no good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny. They'll come up to my trainings and they'll see, like, I'll have a training going on. They'll walk over and like talk to the students real quick, like, "Hey, listen to everything Brett says because he's one of the best I've seen in the business." Stuff like that. So, they're super. Oh man, I just they're super loyal. They're super loyal friendships. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's kind of like, even if you're wrong, I'm still going to back you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Type of guys.
Well, and that loyalty, because in that world, once it's a trust thing, right? Like, because you're working on a multi-million dollar airplane, you know, 80, $120 million airplane.
Yeah.
Like that's in order for me to give that over and trust that you're going to take care of this aircraft, I have to have that trust. I have to have that camaraderie, because that's a relationship. You know, and obviously you're really good at what you do. You've trained people to be good at what they do. But at the end of the day, I've got to trust when I quote unquote hand the keys over to this aircraft that it's going to come back better than I give it to you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the other things too, is there's really no governing body for aircraft detailing. The FAA doesn't recognize this. Um, EASA, which is the Brazilian equivalent of the FAA, does recommend or does recognize aircraft detailers. So I am doing that, writing in the manuals for aircraft. I'm writing portions of a course for SAE Aerospace on painting. So I've taken some online painting courses on how to paint aircraft and stuff like that. So um, yeah, it's just we're just like the black sheep of the family. So I'm trying to just bring some legitimacy um, and other things like that. So
Well,
that's part of the problem.
yeah, I'd love for you, because you did automotive detailing. I want you to give me an extensive kind of compare and contrast with aircraft detailing and automotive detailing, and kind of walk me through some of that stuff. But I do want to point out what's interesting, and I've said this multiple times when people are like, "Hey, has anybody ever detailed an airplane before?" And I will post on that. I'm like, if you have never done one before, do not just go freaking detail an airplane. Like it's not the same. And if
Yeah.
you screw something up on an aircraft, like if I screw up a fender on a car, no one dies.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I screw up a sensor that for some reason only fails when it's in the air, or something serious happens, like that's a big deal. Like people can get hurt.
Yeah.
So
Well, even if they notify they got to tell someone that they broke something. Number one, that's that's the first issue. The second issue is, say it's a charter aircraft and they lost $100,000 revenue
yeah.
from downtime because of your stupidity thinking you could do it. Um, I think what was cool, you telling me, and I did kind of the same thing, was asking mechanics, "Hey, walk me around and show me the critical points of this aircraft." In all my trainings, I tell them, I say, whoever your point of contact is with the aircraft, if you're not familiar with it, go ahead and have them do a walk around with you and show you all the
Mm-hmm.
critical points and what to be, how to clean them, how to clean. You know, how do you want your landing gear clean? Do you want me to pressure wash it or want me to hand clean it? How do you want this cleaned? How do you want that cleaned? What are some areas that I should look out for? Even on the interior, just like the vacuum hose rubbing on one of the cabinets coming up the steps and then turning
Mm-hmm.
to the left or the right. There's a cabinet right there, and if your hose is rubbing on, it'll chip off the clear coat off the veneer. You know, then oh shoot, well we can't find that veneer anymore or that dye, and it's not going to match. So it's $350 an hour to have some guy come and repair it and touch it up inside the aircraft, which take 2 or 3 hours. So $1,200 roughly, $1,300. So yeah, those types of things, those little things just end up costing a ton of money.
Well, it's even like when I used to walk through these particular training aircraft that I that I was working on, the Lexan on the windscreens
Uh-huh,
were extremely soft and extremely finicky.
uh-huh.
So like he's like, and that was the first thing he said. He said, if you're gonna touch this, this is how you do it. This is what we use on it, which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of towel you want to use, because like if you scratch this entire windscreen, that's a couple of $1,000, 3 or 4, whatever it was at that time. But it was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's such an easy thing to screw up if you
Uh-huh.
don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the other thing too is um, aircraft mechanics aren't trained to detail,
Hmm.
so a lot of their tactics for cleaning are absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Compared to if we're talking preserving the aircraft and stuff like that, a lot of their tactics are completely wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of shops will say, "Oh, you don't use like the DuPont aerospace wipes." I was like, they feel like dryer sheets, and you're asking me to clean the window with this? Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna scratch. But they still do it because some old school manual or some wrote it. Like a lot of these aircraft manuals are ex Air Force guys that sat down and wrote a manual on how to clean the aircraft and have never looked at the detailing industry and stuff like that from that standpoint. So the aircraft detailing industry is severely lacking. So
Yeah. So what's walk me through, like, if you were going to approach just a normal car versus approaching an aircraft in terms of like start to finish time detailing. You don't have to go through every single step, but I'm trying to educate people that are listening to this, because I think so many people either A, don't understand anything about aircraft detailing, or B, are have enough knowledge to be dangerous. This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is, at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS. And so I want to, how would you educate someone like me who would just come in and say, look, I don't have any idea what aircraft detailing entails.
Yeah. So first off, cars, people are like, oh, I'm not going to clean it this month. I don't have any money. But aircraft, it's preventative maintenance. It helps clean landing gear wells and stuff like that. Helps pilots and mechanics see where leaks are much sooner than a thrashed aircraft. So from a safety standpoint, it's you want to have your aircraft detailed and clean, prevent corrosion. So it helps prevent corrosion. Corrosion gets under the paint and bubbles up and causes a lot of damage. So from a standpoint versus cars, it's more of a maintenance thing. Even the polishing and stuff, you're creating better laminar flow for the aircraft, the wind to flow over the wings and stuff like that. Well, the entire aircraft. So it's harder for contaminants to stick to it, to degrade the paint faster, all that type of stuff. So, first thing I do what I always tell people is, like I said, like what me and you did, is ask the mechanic, what's going on with this aircraft? What do I need to, is there anything in particular? How do you want me to clean the landing gears? The interior, the cockpit, what do you want me to clean? What do you want me to steer clear from? All the red handles. So because we had a customer that, I don't know what happened, but someone went in the aircraft and pulled the fire bottles in the Falcon 900. So that's 3 fire bottles. I think they were like, I don't know, 5 to 10 grand a piece to replace. So there's stuff like that, and now it can't fly until it gets new fire bottles. So yeah, after you check that, you're going to cover up the pitot static system, which gives the pilot the airspeed. I know that personally, I've had this problem. I was like, oh, these guys, like the maintenance shop was like, hey, they want to leave right now. I'm like, okay, like just put it on the wash rack. I'll knock it out. And they went up, they took off, and they just turned right around. They're like, oh, pitot static systems, like we're not getting our airspeed readings. It's like, oh my God. We got water in the pitot static system. I did personally. And it happened once, but we were like rushing. And so you want to do that. Luckily, they were just repositioning the aircraft after maintenance, so it wasn't a flight. It only cost me a hotel room, because the pilots had to get a hotel room for extra night, and the avionics fee to clean it out. But so yeah, then we'll make sure all the windows are closed, stuff like that, and then walk around the aircraft, look for any damage. That way, it's not pinned on us. So kind of like a pilot's pre-flight walk around.
Yeah.
We'll do the same thing with the aircraft, and that's going to give us an idea of what chemicals and supplies we need to clean the aircraft. And then,
and do you have a checklist for that? I mean, because obviously, like in air aviation, freaking checklists are for everything, right?
Yeah. So I don't have a checklist. I think that would be a good idea to put one together. I probably should, that my students could just download the checklist for the different aircraft. But I'm just mostly looking at the broad picture, like nothing's broken, nothing's leaking, inspecting the landing gear, inspecting the flaps, and making sure there's no dents, scratches, or chips out of the prop, or excessive oil leaks, and
Right.
just the windows are closed, and we're off to the races. So then we just start top bottom. So say it's a Gulfstream, I'm going to go do the tail first, clean that, and then once I get clean down, just work my way around the aircraft. We'll clean the landing gears first, though. Clean the landing gears first during the wash. We won't clean any of the bugs. We won't pre-wash clean the bugs. We won't pre-wash clean the exhaust soot. That's a lot of aircraft detailers make that mistake. They spray the bug cleaner on and then wipe it with a towel. They're scratching the paint because there's dust there too. We're removing the dust, then we're cleaning the bugs, stuff like that. So aircraft paint doesn't scratch as easily as car paint. And it's definitely easier to polish. I just polished my car like the other weekend and then like pull it out in the sun. I'm like, man, I suck. Hopefully these car detailers don't get into it, because I'm like, the buffer's stalling. I'm like, fuck it, next section.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, I'm getting my car wrapped.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, so that's kind of our process and it's kind of like always making sure, water's not getting in areas. That's the other thing is I preach about dry washing, but wet washing is also necessary because of the FAA has a salt environment map, and depending on the salt environment, the aircraft should be flushed with fresh water. You can do that with dry wash, which I can with the detail keg. I just turn it up and I'm blasting out, the gear wells and the flap wells, all that stuff, just where salt can build up, because we're near the coast. I think like all the aircraft on the aircraft carriers, if they go up, they have to be washed every day.
Wow.
It might be if they just go up on the top deck, but I could be wrong, but I think they have to be flushed with water every single day.
Yeah, that's salt and corrosion. That's pretty nasty stuff.
And it gets costly.
Yeah.
For corrosion. They got to grind it out and then repaint it, so yeah. And if it's on control surfaces, it has to be reweighted and balanced if it's a lot. I'm not particularly sure, but I can presume, because if the control surfaces aren't balanced and weighted the same, like the aircraft will just it'll start vibrating violently. So
yeah, the turbulence gets a little bit crazy, I'm sure. So you guys are responsible. So wet washing. There's just, talk to me. What's the insurance situation when you're doing air? So let's say that I'm just the guy that wants to go detail an airplane for some person that called me. They happen to be a car customer. Like you need additional riders on your insurance, correct?
Well, luckily, so my insurance, I've never really understood insurance. I did a podcast on it. I would say I know a little bit, but I literally just have my agent. I tell my students, go to the admin building at the airport, get their requirements for insurance or their requirements to detail at the airport, because some of them will ask like, what's your experience, and then they'll use my training as experience. They're like, oh, I got trained with Shiny Jets, I did an online course, or I went to do 5 days hands-on training, yada yada yada. So they'll put that, and then I just take that paperwork and I send it to my insurance agent and I say, this is what I need, and they're like, all right, we'll go shop it, and that's kind of what they do. I'm definitely not an expert.
The point is you have to have it. Like that should be your first step, not like, oh crap, something happened, now I need to make sure I have insurance coverage.
Yeah, so you're insuring typically the city, and then there's leaseholders. They get a 20-year lease to run their jet center there on the city's property. So then you go in and you additionally insure the leaseholder as well to work on the property. So that's typically how it goes.
And then the aircraft itself, obviously. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then, yeah, that's typically it. And then you get your permits to go on each of the airports. They give you gate cards and stuff like that. So,
which requires background checks and
some of them,
a lot of them will do. Yeah.
yeah, the international airports, and then like the commercial airports, and then like the executive airports don't typically. They'll just get all your information, your driver's license, and then a couple other things, and then you're good. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, so I think the point that I'm trying to make is, and I don't like to beat up on guys that want to do aircraft, right? Like, I just want you to learn how to do it, right? So then you want to go through and make sure you take the steps necessary. I mean, we've got automotive people out there that aren't necessarily fully insured and doing it anyway, which I always, complain about and admonish people on that. So, but then again, it's a whole other animal, right?
Yep, I have that for sure. I mean, right now, I was like, I have to go quote an aircraft this weekend, and they were like, oh, they already got a quote. And I was like, there's no one that works down there, so I know he doesn't have insurance.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I just, I don't want those customers typically that are doing that,
Yeah. If they're price shopping looking for the lowest common denominator, that's probably not a customer for you, right? Like that's
I've found that I don't enjoy cleaning stuff for the price that I'm worth. When I'm paid what I'm worth, I feel really happy doing the job and going that extra mile for the customer, I'm like, nope, this isn't right. Like, gotta make it right. So I mean, sometimes to start out, you got to take the cheaper jobs to pay the bills, keep the lights on. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then eventually you can get to the point where you can do the job that you want to do and get paid for it. So,
yeah. And so when you're teaching your students, what's kind of the initial goal, or because there's some numbers like in automotive detailing, $150 an hour or whatever for your time as kind of a very base level.
Mm-hmm.
What do those numbers look like with high-end aviation detailing?
They're about that.
Okay.
They're about the same. But I don't go around talking about the prices of my hourly rate because mechanics are cheaper.
Yeah.
Like shop rates for aircraft mechanics is cheaper. So you kind of get like that I mean, and mechanics have to go to 2 years of school to be an aircraft mechanic.
Right.
So I literally never talk about hourly rate and just quote everything.
Yeah, just give it. So, I mean, I'm just curious because even if you're doing,
they're roughly that
flat,
though, yeah,
flat pricing, because you probably don't want the mechanics to know that you're making more than them because you want them to be your friend when you're near the aircraft.
Yes, exactly. So we definitely just always quote everything, and that's why I built an app that prices every single aircraft. It's like 220 plus aircraft on there, from washes, waxing, 1 year, like spray ceramic coatings, carpets, leather seats, compounding, polishing, and all that stuff. So it just makes it easier for my students to quote aircraft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Always steered away from that hourly rate. I have people, ask me like, oh, like what does this rate come out to? They're like 80, 100 bucks, 80, 90 bucks an hour. I'm like, yeah.
It's something in that range, quote unquote, right?
Yeah. Or like, yes, it can be if I really badly quoted this.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't
Correct.
necessarily need to know that. So I want to shift gears a little bit. As somebody that built, a pretty good social media presence, you use website, you use SEO, you're using all these different tools. We try to give these people that are listening a lot of advice in terms of like, how do you use web? How do you use SEO? How do you use social media as a marketing tool to drive business? This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS.
So it's my understanding that to get people to purchase things from you, you have to like touch them multiple times on the internet or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
so that was my way of doing it. I couldn't afford to run ads and see a bunch of people. It was just easier for me to make content and become relatable to a bunch of people. And so, yeah, and then I wish I had the capital to do things different, but I taught myself how to build the website. I taught myself how to do content. I taught myself how to do SEO, and now we run ads. I don't think I'm running any right now. I'm regrouping on what I want to do with my ads, but it's definitely helped because then you can start to see like on your website, like, oh, every visitor eventually ends up equaling $1 to myself. So how do we get more people to visit the website and stuff like that? Start working with those analytics. It was super helpful. I don't know what other people's, how many times or how many website visits they sell, but I mean, it's at least it's a baseline for me to start with, so
Yeah.
that and it kind of gives you motivation as well. So that's kind of I'm not a well seasoned marketer, or I just know how to work hard. I mean, that's pretty much it.
And what kind of content did you create, and what kind of content are you creating now?
So I was just doing Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and now we're working on YouTube. So I'm going to be collaborating with other YouTubers to break into their network, and this is cool. I'm hopping on your podcast. I definitely wanted to do that, and then also talk about the websites you guys build as well. So don't forget to bring that up.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets me to the point is I lost my train of thought, but basically
you're collaborating with other YouTubers. You're doing more long form content.
Yeah, it's so hard. I've filmed like a couple videos and I'm like, man, I really missed out saying this and this to either close off or keep tons of detailing content, but not me talking about or just like stopping real quick and be like, oh my God, it's so annoying that this is going on or that's going on. You know what I mean? It's tough to try and put together, map that out in my head.
The best part is that you always think of those things after you've taken your microphone off, you've put the lights away, you've put the camera away, and like, do I really want to set all that stuff up again right now to go do this little 2-minute segment? Right. So
seriously, and then go grab like a clean or the aircraft's gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's kind of a problem when your set moves, and has to be in the air.
That's the other thing too, is like me filming. I really can't film during the day that much because there's so many engines running or the shop's loud or they got the hydraulic mule, which they got an aircraft up on jacks and they hook it up to a hydraulic mule that they can swing the gears without starting the aircraft, right? It pumps the whole hydraulic system. So that's loud in the hangar. You got air compressors and stuff. So usually I'm filming in the evening, or if it's in a hangar, yeah, I do that. So that's the
Yeah, so you're
problem.
doing more long form content now. You did now. Are you doing like, hey, here's how I polish this wing, or here's how? Are you walking through step by step of stuff?
So I have like I'm gonna be just I'm gonna hang up. I'm hanging up I pretty much hung up the day-to-day detailing, and I'm gonna just focus on like cool aircraft that I'm detailing. So because we've done some cool warbirds this year. We did the Lockheed Constellation. Hired 15 of my students to come out and detail with me. I paid for their airfare, their lodging, and paid them a good hourly rate to just be employees for a little bit. So we worked on
Nice.
that for 6 weeks, and then hired a couple other students to work on a B-25 in Tucson, Arizona. It was 110, 115 during the day. So we rented lights and put lights
Worked
all
at
around the
night.
aircraft at night. And
Yeah.
because it was outside, like there was no other option, and worked on it at night and in between monsoons and stuff like that. So I think those would just be cool videos to document. So I've got a Bartle, which it's a P-51 Mustang. It won the first Reno Air Races and the last Reno Air Races
Nice.
there in Reno. So I'm going to film a whole YouTube video on detailing that. I've got Clay Lacey's old P-51 Plum Crazy to detail. So that's like an iconic P-51. So I'm gonna do that. I've got a Mallard, which is a seaplane, which we're supposed to take to the Caribbean next year. I'll give you a heads up.
Nice.
So it's
Nice.
a twin turboprop seaplane, and there's only 2 or 3 of them in the world that were converted into turboprops,
Wow.
which is the
And that's
same
like that's like a belly lander. Like the belly is
a
actually
boat.
okay.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
boat. So I missed 2 trips to Havasu this summer on it, which sucked. But it got a new paint job, so I gotta fix what the painters did and then ceramic coat it. So we'll do a YouTube video on that. So lots of cool stuff, and I think I got a G4 full restoration coming up too. So just doing some like I don't know cooler things rather than just like cleaning bug smashers or King Airs and
Yeah.
stuff like washing stuff. So that's kind of what I'm going to focus on, and then collaborating with other YouTube influencers on that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
I
that
would
that
guess
brings me
go ahead.
that brings me to the point. Like, man, I've been doing all this stuff on my own, and I can't tell you how many hours. The front video on my website took me probably 6 hours to resize it to the perfect,
Yeah.
1920 by 1080 or whatever, to
Yeah.
resize it perfectly so it plays properly on my website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't take
Yeah.
too long to load. It's not just it's not just I didn't just embed it like or like put the embed code or whatever and pull it off YouTube. So yeah, and then building those like the on my air ambulance website, building the form for people to put in their information. It took me like 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, and learning to build my website. I can't tell you how many times I just stayed up till 2, 3 a.m. on YouTube watching how to do something. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. So, like, I mean, there are certain things like where you can save costs. Where like, if I hire a guy to do camera for me for the day, it's $1,000. You know, um, I see why people do that, but the website stuff and whatnot, like, it's awesome what you guys are doing with that. That's so
Yeah, I
helpful.
sent you some links on that, and
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, website stuff, marketing. Like I've been in social media marketing forever, and I still hire somebody to help
yeah.
me do my social media marketing because I always call it just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I know.
And there's so many things in our lives, especially in business, to where it. And I'm the worst at it. Like I'm the DIY guy. Like I want to do everything myself. And so like website design is something that there's so many tools out there to quote unquote do it yourself, but having it done correctly the first time with a skill set that other people have
Uh-huh.
is, I mean, it's invaluable. And this is not a hard sell on Detailer's Roadmap, but I can tell you for sure, we know these things convert so much higher, make you money
Well,
from
mine was
pretty
a
much
hard
day
sell.
loan. Yeah.
It was a hard sell for
Yours
you
is a
guys.
hard sell.
Yeah.
But like, so what do you think of some of the sites that I sent you? Like I sent you Sparrowhawk and a few
Yeah.
others, and we put aviation pages in other, multi-detailing sites too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great because it's just easy for customers to connect. Mine's not.
Well, after this, we need to make sure we get you in touch with Chris or Pat.
I know, right?
We'll get that fixed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you
Yeah, because
know,
like even adding products like to my website is like, oh, like it's not automatically emailing the course. So I got to go in and like I put out a free online course on the basics of aircraft detailing, and it's not automatically sending it to them. So it's like, I got to sit down, retrain my brain how this works, and then like try and fix it, and then like maybe wait on hold for 20 minutes with the core, the plug-in for the course Thinkific to help me through this. And it's like,
I went back and forth on mine between Kajabi and Thinkific, and then there's
Thinkific,
like
yeah.
Udemy, and all these other things. I ended up settling on Kajabi. None of them do everything you want them to do, but as far as the course side of it, I really like it. I was building something this morning in it. I like the course aspect of it. The funnel system, I use a different funnel system, but Kajabi's
nice.
really
You
good.
can download that app on your. I took a course with on Kajabi. It was they teach you how to repair credit because
Yeah,
I was living on a couch. I needed to repair my credit
I got it.
years ago.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so yeah, Kajabi's nice because you can download the app and then it's right there.
Yep, you can work through it. But I mean, like we said earlier, it takes, as far as web stuff goes, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, especially with somebody like you as multiple businesses and multiple things. Like they're not all in the same thing. And even with detailing and there's a lot of different parts and pieces. So having someone do that for you is definitely an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, we can't clone ourselves. Like, I've got to respond to emails from Wednesday after this. It's like, it's like
I'm there with you. Well,
you are.
we were scheduled earlier in the week, and you had to go down and do something, so you were running a little bit late. So we had to which was fine. It was totally cool. We pushed it, but it's like there's only so many hours in the day, right?
Yeah, I had an employee with COVID and one quit. So drive 2 hours to do 2 hours of work, and then it's just nightmare. Yeah. So then we have if do you have any more questions? Or are we wrapping this up?
I was going to ask you just what's your goal for the future of aviation detailing? That was kind of one of the questions that I wanted to have, and you touched on it a little bit with credibility, but I'm kind of like, how do you see things progressing with aviation detailing? Is it like a subset of automotive detailing that moves into that, or is it a whole different animal where you get a whole new group of people that comes up?
Well, really, what all right, I like you, Kevin, so I'll share it here. Is every auto detailer is going to have to learn how to detail drones and stuff like that carry passengers from their house eventually, I think.
Yeah.
So
well, my daughter-in-law is a drone pilot in the Army, so like, and she does small ones, but yeah, that's the passenger. Uber drone is definitely probably not, especially with you're talking about these electric, aircraft and all that. It's we're not that many years away from that, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. My business partner has the technology for drones to land on a landing pad. You know how you can charge your cell phone on a pad?
Yeah.
He's developed a pad so that these drones can just land on a pad on top of a building and charge up, and then once they're charged up, go pick up passengers from the airport and take them to their destination.
It's a giant mag charger, basically, right?
Yeah. So I'm working on stuff like that, but we gotta, this is, man, it just opens up so many safety issues with people bringing their flying craft drone or whatever you want to call it, EV toll to their house, and like having Jimmy down the street that wants to wash cars after school, you know what I mean? Clean, like we just can't really have that. I feel like.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like a whole different subset of, at home aviation, whatever. Yeah.
And it's because of safety. It's not like I'm trying to rag on Jimmy for wanting to clean cars after school, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there needs to be some recognition for us, some way, shape, or form eventually. Kind of like EASA does down in Brazil, which is their FAA equivalent governing body. So
I mean, as much as the FAA has their fingers in absolutely everything in the way that they do things, I'm really surprised that they haven't tried to govern that part of it. Because like you said, it's a safety issue. At the end of the day, we're not talking just clean, shiny planes, right? Shiny jets.
Yep.
It's like a safety thing.
Our insurance would be cheaper if people would stop leaving towels in the engines.
Oh my gosh.
It would, like, I'm not joking. So, yeah, FAA guys walk up to me with their badges. They're like, "Oh, what do you do here?" I'm like, "I clean planes." They're like, "Oh, okay," and they just walk away.
Whereas, like I said, I'm about to be 51. When I turn 55, if I still want to get my pilot's license and keep it, I literally have to go get a medical once a year to make sure that I am, if I have high blood pressure, I don't. But if I were on some sort of medication like that, they can pull my private pilot's license.
Yep.
Yet I let you work on a machine with essentially no governing body, no governments whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's the they just don't even care. But if you're a mechanic, you'll be like, all right, well, let's go to your toolbox. Let's see when your torque wrench was last calibrated.
Yeah.
And then he's going to get a ticket.
Well, do you remember? I'm sure you remember the Concorde that crashed in France. I don't know if you remember this story, but one of the last Concordes before they pretty much just pulled the plug on them, it crashed in France and killed like 230 people. They discovered that it was as a result of something that happened with the mechanic that left. It was a piece of metal or something ended up somewhere. That dude went to prison for life.
Oh,
like they held him personally responsible. I'm remember, you could Google it and probably tell me I'm wrong, but he was actually punished legally because he was responsible for that particular thing that happened.
That brings me to another point is that I didn't make well enough is some of those aircraft that I don't want, it's because of the rumors I've heard of their practices, right?
Okay.
For maintaining their planes or something like that, right? I'm just like, like I look at the planes and they're just like beat, tattered, and I'm like, I was like, if the cover matches what's in the book, like I just
right.
Because if a plane crashes, the attorneys just sue everyone who's in the logbook
ever touched it, for sure. Yeah, because you're detailing, when you detail, it actually goes in the logbook for the plane, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, it's just I'm just like, nah, I'll just send them a ridiculous price and they're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. I'm like, I know, it's crazy.
This is what it would take for me to do it, because I don't want to do it, so just go ahead and double that number, right? Like that's
yeah. I'll be like, oh no, this is actually includes a maintenance for the aircraft, a new paint job, a new interior, and 2 annuals.
There you go. Nice, for sure. Well, hey, I know you got new stuff coming. How do we find that stuff? I want, how do we, because
I'm excited about this.
At the end of the day, if you want to do aircraft detailing, there are not a lot of sources that can teach you how to do it. And looking at Brett's stuff and knowing him for a little while, I can tell you that there is nothing else like it. And so to have that opportunity to go out and actually do online training, and then get and do in-person training and all that, like if you want to do it, this is where you go. So where do you find us?
Yeah. So shinyjets.com, I have all the trainings. There's a tab that says courses. Pick your courses that you want. And pretty soon we should have an ebook coming out, so you can read that on your iPad. And yeah, so that's the beauty of it is I have 2 day, or my hands-on trainings are 2 days and 5 days. The 2 day is just for ceramic coating. I can't get all the knowledge in you without these online courses beforehand. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no way. So I guess my point is don't waste your time going to something where you have to learn everything there and spend time in class. Why not spend time on your couch in the evenings before you come to your 2 day or 5 day course?
Yeah.
The amount of information you're going to get, and then you're just going to spend 2 days or 5 days complete hands-on training. So there's nothing else like it out there. There's no way that anyone can put out after I'm done with this new online course with 160 plus lessons. There's no reason that anyone should ever make an online aircraft detailing course ever, because it's so thorough. It's scary, and yeah, it's just insane. And I did it just because then I'm just like, this is it. And then I can, like Kajabi, I can pull stuff out and
Yeah.
re-update stuff too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, and it's going over all the years of when I had troubles with employees or stuff employees missed, just covering all that stuff. I've had tons of employees, and it's like training a person over and over again. So I always just took notes of what the employees were doing wrong, and so we correct all that stuff that you would do wrong in our courses. So
Nice.
yeah, it's just super exciting. And yeah, I'd love you guys to check out the course. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. I would say first order of business before you think about taking my trainings is going to your local airport and going to the admin building, and then shopping insurance before you take my course, and then maybe even hop on a call with me to see get a list of the businesses that are actually there at the airport, and give me a call and we can go over them, how to attack them. I go over that in my courses, but maybe it'll give you a better scope or idea of what the potential is for detailing at your local airports where you're at. So
nice. Well,
yeah.
that's awesome. I think if you want to do it, this is the way to go. Check out his app as well. So go to shiningjets.com.
You can't get the app unless you're a student.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so that's the path to the app, right?
Yep.
So all right, good to know. Thanks, Brett, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. It's good talking to you, man.
You too.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.